in the chat, if you're going up this year, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about going up for tenure and promotion? In the chat, couple words. Go. I'm not seeing anything. No one's sharing. Oh, panic. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Thank you for your honesty, Dr. Miletic. Anyone else? No one else is going to say. There's 27% of you who are going this year. Okay, generally, yeah, it is tedious, isn't it? Bureaucracy, Jess, bureaucracy brings us so many important human goods, but there's a lot of detail. Anyone else want to share? Generally confident, but tedious work, panic. Okay. Marta, do you mind if I put you on the spot just for a second? Panic.
Sure, if you really have to.
Panic.
Because I'm not panicking enough, so putting me on a spot is the perfect thing to do, right?
Not panicking up, but see, the kind of the goal is to support you and help you not be alone in your panic, but maybe also alleviate it by pulling you in. So, and good to see you, Dr. Lynn. Thank you for attending so you could learn. Panic what is, I mean, is it just general? I can offer some things so you don't have to dig in front of people. Number one, real talk, few of us who become faculty love being supervised and evaluated. So just general supervision panic.
Yes, I think that's most. Yeah, because we are our worst enemies, right? When I'm looking at my package right now, I'm like, oh, is this good enough or no? So yeah, just in general, giving my worst enemy and critiquing myself in the harshest way.
That's right. Well, and having done this for a few years now, I will share with you all that I commonly see people who have wonderful packages, and we'll talk about the success rates here. You know, everything is fine, but they will fixate onto the one detail that they're worried about. Fixate on one tiny detail. Because I think we've been, the culture in our profession has been that this should be a fearful process. I don't subscribe to that. That's not our institutional vision for our tenure track faculty here at SDSU. This is supposed to be a professional development process. You're supposed to be supported. You're not supposed to be hazed. This is not hazing. You know, the roots of tenure and promotion, I'd love to share those. So, you know, thank you for giving me the time. You know, if we look back to the statements from the American Association of University Professors in the 1940s, at a time when some of the culture around tenure and promotion was being institutionalized, you know, what we see there is a desire for colleagues, you know, after a probationary period to afford each other, and if you're not muted, could you mute would be helpful, to afford each other a modicum of stability and permanency, right? So that they can pursue hard questions of substantial duration through economic stability, right? Knowing you'll have a job to come back to every year, and you know, economic security enough to attract, in the document says young people of talent. So, you know, this is supposed to be a process through which you come to feel at home in the profession. And the fact that it was turned into hazing at some point, I would love to see further study, but you know, I came up in the culture where it was supposed to be scary, and that's a culture I don't think serves most of us well, right? Because we have a very low surprise rate. And Crystal, I see you. I worry about missing something. I don't even know what to mean. So the other thing I'll say along that line is San Diego State University, our tenure and promotion processes are governed by a union contract that is negotiated and that is grievable. And we take it very seriously. We're also governed by a policy file, multiple policy files at the university, college, and department levels that come through shared governance that are voted in by faculty. And, you know, we are obliged to uphold and implement those. There is no hidden notebook on this process. You know, everything is up on the website. Everything has a why. You'll receive notifications at every level. And, you know, if you've talked to people who have gone through this process at other universities, you know that this is not the same everywhere. This is not the same. Like, I know it was, you know, a little while ago now, but I went up for tenure twice, first at the University of Texas at Austin, and then here after my family moved out here. And went at UT, put my stuff in a basket in September, rolled it down the hall to the department staff, and I heard back in May. That was it. There's no workshops, there's no website, there was no explanation. It was like, here you go. And okay, so just know, like, there's a lot of detail given here on purpose. And I see you, Vinny. In talking with colleagues from multiple, there's not the same tone experience for many of us. And all I have to say is the senior colleagues who seek to scare you are wrong, period. They're wrong. And I know that I'm a warm and congenial personality, but I'm also a tenured full professor and a nationally known scholar in my field and the associate vice president in charge of this stuff. And they're wrong. So I hope you can believe me that they're wrong, because sometimes it's easy to forget. And I hope that your generation of scholars can help us break the culture where that is normal for people to try and be ominous with you. And here's why I want to say, I'm going to skip ahead a couple slides. So this is our data. We are required by the University Senate to compile data on tenure and promotion outcomes at this university. And, we have not yet compiled for 24-25. We're in the final stages of compiling it. It's released every October 15 to the Senate. But, I would like you to look across at the percentage of people promoted or receiving tenure and our rates. I like our rates. I like them a lot, right? Like, this is good. 97% of our assistant professors are making it through. 97%. Would you like me to focus in more on this 97%? That part, Marta?
This made me giggle. Thank you.
Hello, would anyone like to take a screenshot of this? And what that means is what we already know, like, this is not a joke, right? We hire you because you're incredible. And it's on us to help develop you and to help you. And I don't like that phrase because you're not an object of a verb, hitting English professor frames. Our job is to support you. That's our job as a university. And, the cases I know, again, Marta, this one's for you. There you go, screenshot it. Are people who actually, in most cases, there are exceptions, right? Every few years, there's somebody for a number of reasons didn't make it. And oftentimes we all kind of know that's going to happen, including their colleagues, including the person. And we do whatever we can to produce a soft landing and transition them. But last year, the people who didn't get it that I can remember were leaving for private industry. They didn't even want to really stay at the university. Okay. So there's the stats behind my tone. And I appreciate, I just want you to have that information and to understand the why of what we do. Okay, before we go any deeper into the details, I want to go to this page. All right. I always start out these workshops with my catechism of questions to hopefully support faculty well-being. And the first question I ask folks is, are you checking your email after 5 p.m. or on weekends? Question mark. Who is doing that to themselves? You don't have to raise your hand. Do you give yourself an accountability check? Is anyone willing to raise their hand and admit that they are an all-night email checker? Okay. Okay, so why? Does anyone have a good reason for being an all-night email? Are any of you on the San Diego State University Volunteer Fire Department? Are any of you hired by San Diego State University as an emergency medic? Do any of you have secret after hours responsibilities as a dorm RA? Okay, if none of these apply, like, unless you prefer, unless it works to support your scholarly work, to check email after 5. The science shows that it actually degrades your ability to do excellent intellectual work if you're checking email around the clock. There is science on this. And I hear you about cultures of nursing and teaching and helping professions, right? But we all know what happens when people help around the clock. They get sick. And we have data on this too from this campus. showing that, you know, people get tenure, but what happens after tenure sometimes, especially for example, for underrepresented women in various fields, you make it to tenure, but reported health concerns go up after you get to tenure. So you do all the things, you're on all the time, you get your tenure, and then middle age and suffering. We don't want that here. We want you to be well, healthy, and productive to the extent any institution can support that for your entire career, okay? And don't even get me started on notifications. If you're getting pings every time you get emailed, you're hurting yourself. Is anyone getting pings every time they get emailed? This is where I lean into it a bit, especially on your phone. Like, this is not consonant with good health. Come on, nursing people in the room. You know this is true, okay? Like, this is not compatible with good health. Check the brain science on what happened to adolescents in the last 5 years, okay? Yeah, all right. Don't do notifications for work. You know, that's maybe someday if you're a department chair. And if you think I'm foolish on this, check with your dean or chair. Ask them directly, would you like me to be checking email all night? Would you like me to have you on notification ping right to my phone? Ask what your supervisor's expectations are. Second, do you have at least 20% of your calendar, your actual like Google Calendar, held for your own time for writing and research? Has anyone done that for themselves in the last few years and it's worked? It's helped them? Who's tried that trick? All right, no one has tried this trick. Try it. Because what happens if you don't calendar your own time? We are in a helping profession. So everybody who shows up at our door takes priority over our work. Oh, Deborah, go ahead.
I've done it. I have booked hours in my calendar and I had writing groups. I would go there. I would still do some other work. Yeah, sometimes, like, I don't know, preparing a class, preparing something is urgent. All the time there is something urgent, right? Yeah.
But maybe 80% of the time you actually did what you were supposed to do when you held the time. I mean, like, set yourself up for success and hold the actual time on your calendar. I promise you, students will be here every year. More and more of them, they come every year. And we can talk about the burdens of how to balance that responsibility. Speaking of students, some of us in this room, some of y'all in this room have some serious cultural taxation going on in your unit. Students may be seeking you out because you're the only woman in engineering, or you're the only person who looks like their family in your entire college. Please know that San Diego State has a wealth of wraparound programs provided by colleagues in student affairs and campus diversity. We have a wonderful counseling and psychological services center. We have a wonderful economic crisis response team. There's a point at which, as faculty, you know, we can mentor and guide them so far, and then it's wise to hand them off to trained professionals in these other resources. All of these resources are listed in the faculty handbook, which is on the faculty advancement website. So don't be hard on yourself if you are measured and purposeful with the time you spend in one-on-ones. Some of the best, most prestigious dissertation advisors I have ever known have always mentored their graduate students in groups. Why? One thing I've seen is that, you know, a problem that afflicts some of us when we are doctoral students is that we feel that our writer's block is so unique and special that we will die a very special, unique death, and no one else has these problems. Terminal uniqueness is a thing. And when you get folks in a group, you're mentoring all your master's students or all your doctoral students at once. They can co-mentor and compare notes, right? So consider mentoring in groups. And thank you to Miranda and Jess for sharing in the chat what you've done to protect your writing time. I see you. I'm so proud of you, Miranda, for saying no to meetings during your writing time. Did anyone punish you for that? Okay. Did anyone frown at you in the hall? Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. It's just being like, okay, what about the next day? I'm like, yeah, the next day I can do in the afternoon, but not mornings.
Right. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. Do you have a mentor map? And this is what a mentor map looks like. Remember, this is, you know, we want I borrowed this from NCFDD. I hope you have all claimed your NCFDD membership, right? That's also in the self-care items catechism I do at the beginning of workshops. The old school idea of mentoring is that there's one magic guru who's going to give you the keys to the kingdom. And if you do everything they say, you'll be safe. That's not true. That's just not true. It's not factual. In reality, one of the things that we love about our profession is that it's so multidimensional. You know, it involves teaching and service and accountability to communities in public and funding and writing, all of these things. And there are going to be different subject matter experts who guide you best in these different aspects of your world. The same person may not be the funding guru and the instructional technology guru. You know, so take time to check on and build out your mentor map. This deck is in the calendar invite for all of you, so you can access it right there. But it's so important to check count the noses on your support team and know that there's more than one. Okay. And then final question, how many of you have an accountability or writing group you've joined up with? Show of hands or pop it into the chat. Who has, yeah, okay. And Angelica, how has that worked for you? Helpful?
It's really great. It builds community and it helps you stay research active. So.
And I see Sanjay too. Good job, you. Okay, so Angelica, what do you mean build community? Aren't we supposed to lock ourselves in our office and come up with genius ideas by ourselves?
We do everything. Sometimes we collaborate. So sometimes we learn what each other's working on through these groups, and then we get things done that we need to stay in the career. So writing our papers, writing grants. So
yeah. And please know when I'm using a teasing tone, it's like just trying to encourage us all to let go of old concepts of how we should get our work done and to embrace the fact that like it can be very powerful to meet with other people and not be alone. I've seen it work for many people. Okay. You've already seen the data, but I just kind of want to go back so we can all have a good time one more time. Is this fun? Should we go? I see Miranda laughing. Okay. How are you feeling, Marta? Does that help? Marta,
Yes, yes, I'm still here. Yes, it does help, but I'm all, you know, pessimist. I can lower that number. Yeah. No,
Okay,
that sounds like, thank you.
That sounds like a you problem, but that's okay. Devram.
So 97%, it's quite high, but my mind wonders what happened 1% or 2%, why they didn't get tenure.
Right. Every year there's a different story. The people from the most recent year were people who were exiting the profession. They were going to work in industry where the pay was better. So they basically phoned it in. They didn't do research for the last 3 years of their appointment because they really weren't interested in staying at the university. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Other question, should you go up? And this one tends to provoke panic in people. And please know the goal here is to be ever more clear and supportive and encourage you to talk to people and assess when the right time for you is. The language you see in front of you, the screenshotted, Times font language is from our university policy file. The Senate policy file for SDSU. It indicates the normal probationary period is 6 years. Now, this isn't arbitrary and in particular to SDSU. This is in the profession. It's the same everywhere. It's in the AAUP statement on tenure from the 40s. It says there's going to be a probationary period of 6 or 7 years during which time a person kind of fits themselves to qualify for permanency. Okay. Now, if you are coming from another school where you were in rank 3 years as an assistant professor, because we're hiring excellent, advanced assistants, you get to count everything from your probationary period, right? Last 6 years or since degree, whichever is shorter, okay? Like that all counts. If you have if you have just started your job and you're just 3 years in, you're only 3 years in rank. So if you are seeking tenure promotion before the end of the normal 6-year period, just explain why somewhere in your documents. I know the normal period is 6 years, and for full, it's different. We'll talk about it in a second. Do I have any folks going for full in the room? Will you make yourself visible so I can know? I don't see anybody. If I'm missing you, pop your name, say me in the chat so I can see it for sure. But, say something, say, oh, I've been here 3 years, but I was 3 years at, Humboldt. And, during my probationary period at both schools, I've accomplished the following, right? or check your appointment letter. We're trying to do better in awarding service credit, which is provided under the contract, to formally honor time and rank at other institutions. And if you are going up a bit on the, with less than 6 years in the bank, please make sure you've taught a nice array of classes. The university panel on tenure and promotion asks me and our office to convey to everyone that they do look at teaching, and they want to see candidates for tenure and promotion having taught at all levels that are available to them. So if you are really a clinician only working with a doctoral population, okay, that's fine. But if you can get that nice range, and if your chair isn't assigning you that because they think they're doing you a favor by keeping you in a limited number of preps, have a little conversation, let them know you'd like to try your hand at something lower division if it's available to you. In any event, if you are going up with less than 6 years in rank, please add your fall semester teaching evals. Does that make sense? Give them one more data point, right? You can add through Valentine's Day so just please add your fall semester student feedback surveys. It shows consideration. It shows that you're maybe going a little bit before the normal probationary period, but that you have plenty of evidence of your commitment to teaching. All right, questions on this question of when to go up? And again, it'd be helpful if you raise your hand if you have them so I can see you. Okay. All right. Getting ready for review. If you're going up.
My hand was up. Or did you mean to? I'm sorry.
I apologize. I didn't see you. Please go ahead.
Sorry about that. I was wondering, what is considered too early to go up that you definitely won't get tenure at?
So hypothetical questions are super, super tricky, and I avoid them. I'll show you again. This is the language we get to go by, right? So the normal probationary period is 6 years. If you're going up before you've spent 6 years in rank, talk to your chair, talk to your director, talk to your associate dean, get their input. If they all think it's a good idea, great. Just please provide some rationale for why you chose to put yourself up now in your professional growth statement, probably. Does that make sense?
Okay. I'm just old, so I want to go up as soon as possible. So
I hear that. I hear that. And definitely, I cannot authorize or disauthorize people from going up when they feel it's right. I just encourage you to talk to lots of people who know your case really well in your discipline. All right, Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, so a bit related, if you have gotten an extension, for either you had kids and maybe got one for that, or like COVID, if we're now going to hit the 6-year mark without the extension, but we have the extension, would that be kind of considered at all? Like, oh, you might as well take the extension, don't go up, early, even though you've actually been a full 6 years, but you got 7 or you've got 8 because of extensions. Is there any thought around that, or is that just another hypothetical that treated as either one-off?
If you're ready to go and your chair thinks you're ready to go, go. Don't trip on like, I took the extra year and I didn't need it and now I'm early. Like, don't worry.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
The slogan in our office, and I forgot at the outset because I was so hyper to give you a poll. Samantha Lendy is in the room. Samantha is there she is. Samantha, we waved. Samantha is the new Cavalia Fletcher. Cavalia has left us for private industry, and Samantha runs RTP for the campus, and she is amazing and has worked here for a decade and is a really steady hand on this most important process. So thank you, Samantha. The thing Samantha and I, often say day in, day out is we want to err on the side of the faculty member. We want to err on the side of the candidate. We want to do everything we can to create favorable conditions for candidates to succeed. So no one is looking to, litigate the fine details of whether or not you actually used your parental leave. No one wants that. we give these extensions of the tenure of the probationary period to give you options, to give you cushion, to give you support. And it's never to be held against you. I hope that helps, right? Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay. All right. Should you go up? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Preparing for review this year. Deadlines are
Marina,
coming.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
I had a hard time raising my hand. I couldn't find the button, but anyway. So that's a teaching in a previous institution. Can that be kind of considered by San Diego State?
Yes. So the last 6 active semesters of scores and evaluations are required and accepted, right? So, when I went up for tenure the second time, I had 2 years of evals from SDSU and 1 year of evals from UT Austin in my package.
Great. Another question is, we have, for example, faculty members interested in have submitting a K award, an NIHK award, which protect their time of teaching. So they are not able to teach too many classes, and then will that be a concern? So should we encourage them to apply for a K award or not?
So what do you think the answer is?
As a chair, I definitely want them to encourage
Okay,
them to submit the K award.
Then we agree. I mean, that's the thing.
when it comes to the
And you're a little garbled, so I'm sorry if I'm not hearing you correctly, but look, the reviewers are professionals and they're your peers and they understand how this profession works. Okay, so if you're and a K award, for those of you like me who work in unfunded fields, are enormous federal awards, typically to folks who work in health. Okay, and reviewers are used to seeing people with K awards, and they know that Ks require a different disposition of effort. They know that. In reality, all of our assignments as faculty members vary. We are all evaluated on the basis of our assignments. So those of us who work, again, in unfunded fields, who bring in the funding to the university by teaching, and you should check our F&A, it's really amazing. There are different expectations. However, and those are articulated in your department policy file and your college policy file. And your colleagues who are rooting for your success know how to see a career on its own terms. Okay, so I hope that helps. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we're preparing. Now we're going to get into the real practical stuff. Only College of Sciences requires external review. If you are in the College of Sciences, you probably have and are going up this fall, you probably have already requested it. It is not too late to request external review. If you haven't done so already, we can take letters from reviewers through late ad, which is mid-February. If you're not in the College of Sciences and are curious about an external review, some of the instances in which we recommend, I recommend them, or I say you might think about it, is if you're in an interdisciplinary field or a small and emerging field that you don't know that people in your unit are prepared to fully understand, why not get some folks from the outside who do know your field to provide letters for your case, okay? There are cases in which it is helpful. All right, moving on. If you haven't done so already, hey, everything is posted at the Faculty Advancement website. And I encourage you to, I don't think that's sharing correctly. I'm going to stop share and re-share so you can see it. Please visit the website. You can just pop in fa.sdsu.edu and click tenure and tenure track faculty. Performance reviews is the technical return for reappointment, tenure, and promotion. And everything is here. Timelines. This is your key guide to how to put together your portfolio and upload it. We have videos and PDFs from past workshops. The video that we're making right now will go up there and be a resource. And there's also information for reviewers as well, including a video that reviewers are supposed to watch to encourage them to do equitable, proper reviewing. And then there's some forms down here, additional forms, including a request for a postponement. That's the probationary period extension form. So know that these resources are all here. I'm going to give you the cheat version and just show you as soon as I get back to the share screen. What this year's deadlines are in just a second. You probably already know them because you're A students if you're going up this fall. All right. Peer observation. This is recommended, not required. What it means is you ask a colleague, and if there's no one you're comfortable asking, you can contact the Center for Teaching and Learning, and they will connect you with someone to come and observe your class. This is an old school, but very important faculty tradition. And I recommend it because it gives reviewers another data point on your teaching. Science evidences bias of all kinds in student feedback surveys. Implicit bias, measurement evaluation bias. It's not a great body of data. It should not be treated as scientific quality data. Okay, it's Yelp reviews, period. And we've come a long way, and our reviewers in their video are encouraged to read those student feedback surveys in context with perspective. And students have many important things to say about our teaching, but they're not actually qualified to evaluate us. And sometimes they react out of just being a 20-year-old. So get a peer in the room, and they are not required, they're just recommended. And if you're not going up this fall, if they're not going up this fall, this is something you might think about developing in the coming year. All right, and then if you're coming down to the wire on the deadline, you want to assemble your required materials in PDF format. You want to draft your statements and share them with a colleague. And I encourage you to pick a colleague outside your field, because your statements will be read at the university level by people who are not in your discipline. This is not the place to use jargon, okay? So make sure your work is legible to people who are in, if you're a scientist, make sure it's something that people in the humanities can enjoy and understand. If you're an artist, vice versa. James, I see your question, not a requirement. These have never been required by the university. Colleges may have their own standards. Okay, I hope that helps. All right. And then you have the option to prepare response rebuttals to student feedback surveys. This is an opportunity that was developed. If you can mute, please, that'd be helpful. An opportunity that was negotiated in one of the recent CFA contracts. And we have models on the site in the candidate's guide to Interfolio of how to do this. So basically, if you have feedback surveys that you believe evidence implicit bias or that are otherwise skewed by events that have nothing to do with your teaching, you can put those into contextualization, into context for reviewers. All right, moving on, deadlines. Your packets, if you're going up this year, need to be uploaded by Monday, the 23rd. It's gonna take you a minute to get everything in PDF form, right, folks who've been working on the tedium of it? So block out some time. And then the closing date is Friday, 10/4. What happens in those 2 weeks is a process called validation, in which someone from your department is supposed to just go through and make sure that your file is complete, nothing's been forgotten, and it's good to go. And if they find something that's missing, like, hey, you forgot to upload a fourth significant item, you have until the closing date to correct it, okay? And then our late add deadline is February 14th. It's about the same time every year. Just to be clear, the kinds of things you want to late add is any item that has changed status significantly. You're not allowed to late add anything that was available to you before the close date, right? So if you got notice that a grant hit in early September and you forgot to add it, you can't late add it. However, if you had a grant under submission in early, September, and it hit in late October, you can late add at the appropriate point in the year that notification of a change in status. So if you have a book or an article that's out for review and you get a yes on it, you can late add that. You can also late add your, as I mentioned, your fall semester student feedback surveys. You don't need to late add, revise, and resubmits. No one wants to know about that. You know, there are folks who get really anxious and focus all their energy on the late add process and like every single thing that changes. That's just remember that like every time you late add something, all of your reviewers get a ping, get an email, and like, so be chill. If it hasn't changed status, if it's not a consequential item, sit back. It's going to be okay. All right. And I've shown you all of the resources at the website. Okay, I want to talk a little bit with our time remaining about the personnel data summary, or PDS, which is the form you fill out. You've been practicing for this in all of your periodic evaluations, right? You've been writing statements. So hopefully what you're doing is updating something you've already drafted and refined year after year. Just for my awareness, I'm looking quick. How many librarians do we have in the room? I think I see. Do I see any librarians? I don't think. Oh, Kurt, there you are. Okay. Kurt, this deck also contains the library information in case the questions, because it's a slightly different array of statements, in case the questions from our instructional faculty sort of eat up the time. Happy to stick around with you to provide support, but the data is in the deck. Okay. And do we have any SSPR counselors in the room? Okay, I'm not seeing. Okay. All right. So you're asked to develop 3 statements, and this is yours to develop. You are telling your story. And the prompt for each of them is very similar. They all center around the criteria in the policy file, the university policy file. So your job is to demonstrate how you meet the criteria for tenure and promotion using the evidence in your dossier. And I'm going to flip forward to the teaching criteria, and you'll see that the emphasis, what people are looking for, is ongoing reflection and adjustment. We don't expect you to be perfect from the start and maintain perfect scores. We all have up and down semesters, normal. You know, often that happens when you're trying new techniques, but show that you're looking to improve your craft and serve your students a little better, and you'll be in a good place. So this is the Senate criteria for evaluating teaching effectiveness for tenure and promotion. And I will let you read this yourselves. Okay, so again, the emphasis in this text you can see is this part about reflecting, you know, thinking about your techniques, how they're going, what the outcomes are, whether you're helping students meet those outcomes, and then trying new things. And there are models embedded in the candidates guide that show you how to write this up. So it's really, you know, terrific if you can write to the criteria. I fulfilled this criteria by continuing to examine and improve my pedagogy. As you can see from my certificate from the, you know, course development institute that I attended, you know, and you should tell them where to find the certificate in your dossier. Like, think about it as you're proving an argument, or you're proving a hypothesis, marshaling data to do so. Okay, moving on. The professional growth statement, same thing. How do you meet the criteria? Using the evidence in your dossier. So it's like an argument, you're making the case. We'll visit the criteria in just a second. One thing I want you to know though is, you know, if, especially for folks going to full, so this is not folks in this room, but just know this, that every academic career has ups and downs, has gaps, has changes in direction and pivots. Life happens. If you have any significant gaps in your productivity, address them briefly in your professional growth statement. Don't be ashamed. Say, I lost a parent. I got ill. I had to reinvent my methodology after COVID. People will get it. People will get it, but weave that into your professional growth statement and show how you've responded to the challenge or obstacle and come out of it. All right, so here are the criteria for professional growth, and I'll let you read these for yourselves. And the words I would highlight here, sustained, coherent, focused, independent. So show that you have core questions you are asking and pursuing over time. And show that you have moved from perhaps working more closely, especially if you're going for tenure, working on projects that another PI is leading, to having your own projects, having your own team, having your own lab, having your own book projects, leading your own collaborations. Okay. All right. Again, just double checking. I don't think anyone in the room is going up for promotion, but here's the information on promotion. Kurt, library faculty, statements are outlined here. And this is good for everyone to know that our hardworking faculty colleagues in the library on the tenure track, go through the same processes the rest of us do. Instead of, there's sort of because it's an applied field in many respects, they're evaluated sort of like a clinician would be evaluated. So effectiveness in library service, so providing services that implement best practices, recently developed methodologies. Okay. Kurt, am I capturing what y'all do right? Feel free to edit. And so that's the largest part of evaluation. Kurt, here are the criteria you're asked to respond to. And again, same theory. Thanks, Kurt. Same theory. So you narrate your work in library and how you've met the criteria using the items in your dossier. Librarians also do professional growth. So Kurt, any presentations at conferences or publications that reflect the sort of methodologies you've been working on advancing, implementing there. Our counseling faculty colleagues also go up for tenure and promotion. I don't think anyone's here from counseling, but they're evaluated like clinicians as well. Okay. Components of everybody's packet. So first of all, I want y'all to know that, during COVID times, the Senate moved very quickly to pass a policy that ensured that no one would be penalized for a global pandemic. I'll let you read it here on your own.
John, I just gave a long question there as well.
Yeah, I'm just writing you and saying, please email.
Nice.
I can't read that. That's really
so actually I did email this, and I was told in the email to bring it up in this meeting. So here I am.
Okay, well,
but I mean, I'm happy to have it go
stay
via
on
email.
for 5 minutes. I just can only multitask 4 things.
Yes, 100%.
I can't read a book.
In the end, it's a simple question, but I had to give some context, I think, for it to be able to
And the
answer.
general thing is, please remember the CV template is a CV template. The reason we provide a CV template, it's not like, yes, please follow it, but it says at the top, please adapt this to your needs. The reason we provide a CV template is because some of y'all get creative, some of our colleagues get creative, and they decide that tenure and promotion is the right time to use purple ink and pink paper. Back when we were paper-based, right? They might mess around with formats and experiment. And the university level reviewers are reading 90 to 100 cases, y'all. They have 90 to 100 cases they got to read. And you don't want yours to be the one they have to go looking in a strange place for information. Does that make sense? So the template is designed to make it easier for reviewers who are looking at a large number of dossiers to find data. No one is looking to penalize you if you put something here that might go there. So I can get to this meat of it, but I want y'all to understand the context for why there is a CV template.
Yeah, it was just part of the explicit instructions. And so, yeah, and I had emailed our department chair, who's kind of currently working on not department chair any longer, Chemu, working on this for the college since we just lost the business representative for RTP. So anyway, and she wasn't sure, and then went to FA, and it was just said to bring it up. So I totally hear you. I'm happy to just do whatever. But if
Okay.
there was something desired, since it was explicitly in the instructions in a way that just didn't quite make sense,
Okay, yeah.
I just
No,
want to make
good.
sure I don't do
100%.
something
Also,
explicitly wrong.
let's pursue this offline. Let's just wait
Okay.
till we get through this hour together, and then I can come back and give you the focus that you deserve. Thank you for the question, though. Okay, and so COVID-related Senate policy, you see no one is out to get you. If you had to change your methodology at all, or if you work with human subjects and major projects were interrupted because of a global pandemic, what reviewers will look for is that the trajectory of your work continued in a reasonable way, given the context. And that's just human. All right, service, y'all do it. Everyone at this school does it. They will ask for evidence in your PDS. You'll need to write a statement that says, I've done service. I've never seen anyone not do enough service, so not gonna be a problem. Responsiveness to diversity, there is no standalone diversity statement. However, the policy file does maintain that being responsive to the fact that we serve the people of the state of California who are diverse and that's our job. We want to see that. That's a criteria ratified by the Senate, but you can weave it into your professional growth, teaching, and service statements. All right. And final thoughts, then we'll have time for just maybe one or two questions. No one is an associate going for full here, so that's good. Hey, this one. Be judicious in accepting unsolicited advice, especially spooky advice. Check written policies. Okay, this goes back to that culture of hazing we talked about. That is a dysfunction that I would like the profession to leave behind. This is not meant to be a mysterious process. We want this to be transparent and welcoming. So if someone tells you, well, I heard the real deal, they're wrong. The only policies we have are written down. If it's not written down, it's not a rule. It's not a thing. Okay. All right. And then remember, we ask for 5 significant items in each area. If you have 4, that's okay. Maybe you're like me in a book field and you wrote a book and you don't have, 4 additional grant applications because they don't fund your work. Isn't that great? Some of us can do work with like no funding. It's incredible. You don't have to include 5. It's up to 5. And people used to panic about this, like, oh my gosh, what if I don't have 5? No one is going to judge you if you have 4 awesome or 3 awesome and not 5. Okay. All right. Thank you for being here and for paying attention. I can take some questions now. And I see Charmaine is first up. Is it problematic over maximum page limit for the summaries? If you have more than 1 page service and you need to write up over the 1 page limit, absolutely do it. 100%. Now, mind you, and I know Charmaine, your background is in humanities as well, is in, Cal as well. I think lots of things can be condensed a lot, but, some of us get really hit with service burdens and take the space you need to address it. And if anyone raises a question about it, let me know. All right. Lynn, if a manuscript goes from review to acceptance between 9/23 and 10/4, do you get a chance to change an interfolio? Yes, that it would be part of the validation process. And Helico, can a video be attached as a significant item to show student engagement in a class, or does it have to be a PDF? Great question. Sometimes we have colleagues in the arts, for example, who want to include, evidence of their work that is not like printed. They did a performance, and you can include a link to a video artifact. I would be cautious about videoing your students in class unless it's something like prearranged by the university, because students have privacy rights. And you want to be sure you have really effective evidence. And so the kinds of things people do to show engagement are to talk about changes they've made to syllabi in order to introduce more active learning, right? So if you can say, here's this syllabi with a sticky note on it, or a virtual version of sticky note. Look, I've shifted the content to a flipped classroom where we're doing hands-on research, collaborative work in the room. Like, that's pretty much just as effective, or more effective maybe. Okay. Other questions? Should we check back with Marta? You've been on the spot enough today.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you for letting us laugh with you, because anxiety is, it's how we got to be who we are. Attention to detail, wanting to do our homework right.
Yeah, exactly.
You're all right. You'll be fine. And so now to Justin's question. Okay, let me scroll back to this novel that was published in the chat. Thank you, Justin. All right.
You bet.
The difference between publications in process, and I'm going to call in, I'm going to phone a friend here. Samantha, help me with this if you would. Difference between publications in process and works in, okay. So a work in progress isn't in the hands of an editor.
See, I fully agree, but that's explicitly not what the instructions say. They say, like, in that second paragraph, I think it's a mistake, to be honest. It wasn't there in the past templates, and so it was really confusing because it says for works in progress, it lists everything that would be after submission, including accepted and in press. Those are given as categories for works in progress instead of publications in progress. And both categories are listed on the CV. So it was just confusing because I had some that I would put under works in progress.
Let's go to the CV template. Samantha, do you have the CV template handy? Because if not, I'm going to go right there. Let me see if I can navigate there quickly.
Yeah, I can. It's on, I think, number 2 of the instructions. Yeah, I've got it pulled up. So under instructions for listing publications, number 2.
Is this on the CV template?
Yeah. So first page of the CV template.
There you
instructions for listing publications, and then under number 2,
publications into the following. Include
right there. So see, shouldn't that be publications in
so here's the thing, Justin, you have to stop asking me questions so I can actually read the text.
Sure.
Give me a second. I'm going to use the marking function. Okay. Include complete bibliographic information, including pages, dates, as defined below in works in progress section. Yeah. Submitted. Has been submitted for review. Manuscript has been, okay, so. And so you're saying there's 2 sections. There's a works in progress, and what was the other section?
There's one that's listed as publications in process, and that's where those things look like they'd go. Like the way we would typically use it in the field, works in progress would be anything prior to submission, like you're developing a manuscript. And then the publications in process section would be everything that's stated here as the works in progress.
Samantha, can you scroll down to the publications in process zone? Okay, refereed. Where is this publications in process zone?
There it is.
Okay, there we go. And then where is the works in progress section?
I think it's at the very bottom.
Okay, so go back up. So yeah, no, that's probably a typo. So it probably should say works in progress. It probably should say publications in process.
Yep.
So Samantha, can we get in there and fix the CV template real quick?
Of course.
And it should say, so where on the first page it says, and thank you, Justin, for Eagle Eyes. On number 2, include bibliographic information for, look, you guys, she's changing it right now. The official change is being made. Justin, you've made a lasting mark on the institution. I'm going to send you a certificate. You can put it in your file. Publications in process section, right? Because a publication in process is, like you said, like it's something that is made. It's just out in, it's out in the process somewhere. So Samantha, we'll work on Samantha, if you go back to 2 and see where it's all caps, the word progress, it should be process. All right. You did it.
That totally clarifies it.
Thank you. We appreciate the help. It's a many faceted process with so many documents we update every summer, and we're going to miss things. So thank you for the help.
Absolutely. I don't envy the the job. I'm sure there's quite a lot to pull together.
No, it's a pleasure to be of service to the faculty community for me, because I do like our profession a lot. But like, I describe RTP as like a big, like multi-sided object with a lot of surface area. It's like covered in Velcro, and everybody who is a junior faculty member is wearing the opposite part of the Velcro suit. There's just so many surface areas of anxiety to adhere to, so many things to worry that you're not getting right. And in reality, you're doing it right. You're doing it right. Like, you'd know by now if you had rough periodic evaluations. Yeah, that's what periodic evaluations exist for, is to tell you, hey, we want you to succeed. Look at this, look at that, right? All right, Miranda, can we put other things in the research statement than public? Of course, of course. Yes, 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 of course. Why would we not include that? Of course. And where do you include advising students and sharing MA theses? There is a space on the PDS, the personnel data summary, where you list your master's thesis students, if you have them, your doctoral students. If advising means something different in every unit on this campus. So I would say that if you have a substantial advising responsibility, you would include it in your service statement if it's not a part of your assignment, if it's not a part of your like actual assigned time assignment. But if you're mentoring, let's say, a senior project or an honors thesis, I can't see any harm in creating a different category right under master students. No one's going to fire you for that. Okay. Should you include courses taught at your previous institutions if it's within the last 6 active semesters? Yes. All right. Is that all the questions?
Sorry, just to clarify. So we shouldn't, so we shouldn't include anything other than what was in the previous 6 active semesters. Course evaluations.
So the instructions are last 6 active semesters. Because otherwise your packet will be 11 billion pages long. Nobody
Yes.
wants that. If you've been okay pretty much for the last 6 active semesters, probably all right. Other questions? Okay, I want to thank Samantha for her backup, for being here, for helping us run this really, really important process for the university. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Appreciate your investment in yourselves. And hang in there. You're going to do great. Okay. I'll stick around in case someone has a one-off, but that's it.
Thank you, Joanna.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Samantha, we could probably stop the recording now so we can do one-offs as needed.